One night, usually later than you meant to stay awake, you realize another month has disappeared. You paid the bills, answered the messages, showed up where you were supposed to show up, and did all the small things a functioning person is supposed to do. But somehow, when the room gets quiet and the phone is glowing in your hand, your life still feels like it is standing in the same place. That's the strange part about feeling stuck. It doesn't always look like disaster. Sometimes it looks completely normal. Same room, same route, same job, same conversations, same promises to yourself whispered at the end of another ordinary day. Nothing is technically on fire, but something still feels like it has stopped moving. Most people think this feeling means they are lazy. That's the easy answer, and it sounds believable because laziness is a simple villain. If someone is stuck, they must not want it badly enough. They must not be trying hard enough. They must be too comfortable where they are. But that explanation falls apart the moment you look closely. Because lazy people usually aren't lying awake at night, wondering why their life feels frozen. They're not quietly panicking because another year feels like it slipped through their hands. They're not making private promises in the dark, then waking up and somehow repeating the same day again. So if laziness is not the whole answer, what is actually happening? The first clue is that feeling stuck is rarely about doing nothing. A lot of people who feel stuck are exhausted. They're moving all day, solving problems, responding to people, making decisions, handling responsibilities, and still ending the week with a disturbing sense that none of it actually moved them forward. It's possible to be busy and still feel trapped. That creates a bigger question. If you're moving, why does life still feel motionless? The answer starts with one uncomfortable truth about the brain. Your brain is not mainly designed to make your life meaningful, exciting, or impressive. Its oldest job is much simpler than that. Keep you alive, keep things predictable, and avoid anything that looks dangerous. For most of human history, that was useful. Familiar places were safer, familiar people were safer. Familiar routines meant you knew where food was, where danger might be, and what could happen next. The unknown was not an inspirational poster. The unknown was where people disappeared. So the brain learned to trust what it recognized. That sounds reasonable until you realize what modern life asks from you. Most of the things that could change your life begin as unfamiliar. A new conversation is unfamiliar, a new skill is unfamiliar, a new city is unfamiliar, a new version of yourself is unfamiliar. Your brain can still treat it like a threat, simply because it doesn't know the ending. And that's where being stuck starts to get darker. The thing trapping you usually doesn't look like a trap. It looks like your normal life. It looks like your apartment, your routine, your inbox, your drive home, your usual excuse, your usual coping mechanism, your usual version of tomorrow. The scariest part of being stuck is that the cage usually looks like your normal life. This is why people stay in situations they complain about for years. Not because they love them, not because they are happy, not because they have no imagination. They stay because the situation has become familiar enough to feel safe, even when it hurts. And the brain has a very strange weakness. Sometimes it would rather keep a pain it understands than risk a possibility it cannot predict. That's the part nobody likes to admit. The brain often prefers familiar pain over unfamiliar possibility. Familiar pain comes with instructions. You know how it feels, where it lives, when it shows up, and what tomorrow probably looks like. Unfamiliar possibility offers no such courtesy. It asks you to step forward without knowing whether the floor is actually there. But familiarity is only one layer. There's another reason life can feel stuck, and it's even harder to notice. Your brain normalizes almost everything you get used to. The thing that once felt exciting becomes ordinary. The place you once wanted becomes the place you complain about. The routine that once gave you stability slowly turns into a room with no windows. This is one of the cruel tricks of being human. You can get things you once wanted and still feel restless later. Not because you're ungrateful, and not because something is wrong with you, but because the brain has a way of turning yesterday's dream into today's background noise. Eventually, the thing that once felt like progress starts feeling like furniture. That creates another problem. If progress becomes normal while you're living through it, how are you supposed to recognize it? Think about watching the hour hand on a clock. If you stare at it long enough, it looks completely still. You could swear nothing is happening. But leave the room and come back later, and suddenly the movement is obvious. Life can feel like that. You are standing too close to your own days to see what is changing. You notice what is missing because it is loud. You notice what hurts because it keeps touching you. But slow growth is quiet. It does not announce itself every morning. It does not interrupt your routine and say, by the way, you're becoming different. So the feeling becomes confusing. Some people are genuinely stuck because they keep choosing the familiar thing that hurts. Other people only feel stuck because change is happening too slowly to look like movement. And the hardest part is that, from the inside, those two experiences can feel almost identical. That's why this feeling is so difficult to explain to other people. From the outside, your life may look fine. You may be functioning, working, laughing, replying to texts, showing up to birthdays, and doing all the normal human things. But inside, there is this quiet suspicion that you are living inside a loop. Not a dramatic loop, not a movie loop, a boring one, which somehow makes it worse. And maybe that's why people don't talk about this feeling very much. It sounds ungrateful when life is not terrible. It sounds dramatic when nothing obvious is wrong. So people keep it private. They stare at the ceiling, scroll through other people's lives, compare timelines, and wonder why everyone else seems to be moving, while they are still standing in the same invisible room. But maybe the most important question is not, why am I stuck? Maybe the better question is, what has my brain decided is safer than change? Because sometimes the thing keeping you still is not weakness, it is protection. Old protection. Outdated protection. Protection that once made sense, but now quietly guards the exact life you are trying to outgrow. So maybe life does not always feel stuck because nothing is happening. Sometimes it feels stuck because your brain keeps choosing the familiar road, even when that road only leads back to the same place. And sometimes it feels stuck because change is happening quietly, too slowly to notice while you are living through it. Maybe being stuck is not one thing. Maybe it is the space between the life your brain knows how to survive and the life some deeper part of you keeps trying to reach. That's why the feeling is so uncomfortable. One part of you wants movement. Another part wants safety. And for a while, your life becomes the argument between them. So the next time another month disappears and you find yourself wondering why everything feels the same, remember this. The cage does not always look like a cage. Sometimes it looks like routine. Sometimes it looks like comfort. Sometimes it looks like the life you already know how to survive. And sometimes you are not standing still at all. Sometimes you are just too close to your own life.